Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 40 Minutes Till Failure podcast. My name is Elijah Minyard, and today we finally have our co-host back from the very first 40 Minutes Till Failure podcast.
Yes.
What's your name?
Daniel.
Yes, he is my little brother.
Yeah.
And today he finally caught up to Better Call Saul. And today we're going to be talking about the 11th episode titled Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
First, would you like to talk about your experience
with the show
catching
in general?
up? Yeah. You watched it in like 2 months?
Let me move this a little bit back so it captures both of us better.
No.
Yeah.
There.
So I started watching, he had me start watching season, after years of being like, watch the show. I finally started watching season 1, kind of sporadically and not all at once. It was kind of spread out over like a month or two. But once I finally ended season 1, then I was like, okay, I finished season 1 when the second half of season 2 was starting to come out, or just about to start coming out. So I decided that I have to try to catch up. So I wanted to catch up before the show was over so that I could experience the end of the show with everyone else. And then we pretty much planned out where if I watched a season a week, I'd be able to catch up to the last episode like the week before it came out. But I ended up watching like 2 seasons a week pretty much, and I was pretty much 2 weeks ahead. So I was able to watch episode 11 when it came out, and then there's 12 and 13. But overall, it's interesting to just watch this the story play out from beginning to end, and yeah, I don't know. It's hard to comment because it feels like I witnessed so much in 3 weeks.
One thing he said to me in season 3, in the middle or towards the end of season 3, was you were worried that you're going to be speculating certain important things that they're just going to drop in the later seasons. But
did I say that?
You did say that. You said that after Kim told a little bit of her backstory to Mr. Acker about her childhood and how she always had to move around. But then I was thinking to myself, I don't think a single storyline is truly dropped in that sense. It's all relevant towards the end of the story, I think.
I'm trying to remember that. Yeah, I don't know. If sometimes it felt hard to talk to Eli about episodes I've seen in speculation because I know that he's already seen what happens to them.
Yeah.
So it felt like, and I never felt like I wanted to see his reactions to anything because I felt like it would spoil something for myself. And that happened all throughout when I was watching it.
I watched, out of the 61 episodes that have come out so far, I've probably watched 58 of them with him. So I pretty much rewatched the show in the time of season 6 coming out periodically.
Pretty much all the important things.
So I got to watch the entire show again, and it's given me some new perspectives because you haven't watched them, but in my videos, for those of you who have seen them, you've seen that I have some pretty negative perceptions about the later season, and we're going to get into that as well as our thoughts on this newest episode. But some of my thoughts have changed. I've been more considerate of some of the endings for certain character. Well, one character, Nacho. I also had some mixed opinions about Kim's ending in the story thus far, but I've gotten a little bit lighter in terms of my criticisms. Let's see. Do we want to break into this episode now?
Break bad on Breaking Bad.
Yeah. This episode was bad.
Oh, I should give give a little bit of context with when episode 9 ended. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect cap off to the Jimmy McGill story. This is the perfect way to just end it with just the soulless, joyless, hollow life as Saul Goodman. And then what you have to do after that is just watch Breaking Bad and follow up on episode 10, and that's where the story continues. So with Nippy, episode 10, that's probably my favorite episode of the season so far, just because it fulfilled everything that I wanted out of the show from the get-go. I was like, I want to see the Gene Takovic story because I want to see what happens after Breaking Bad. And that episode just answered it all. It was just a full episode on Gene Takovic, and it felt like we were finally moving past the the Jimmy McGill
Storyline.
Saul Goodman storyline. It's like, okay, here's the real, not the real story, but here's
It kind of is the real
Yeah.
story because it's the sequel now. It's not just a prequel. I guess I should bring up then, I have reconsidered some thoughts on the Jeff recast. Danny and I have discussed it. We talked about our criticisms, but ultimately we've come out of it in a positive light because we recognize he had the same exact thoughts that this is a completely different character because of how good of an actor Don Harvey was. And he pointed out something that I didn't even think about, is that if you look at Don Harvey's lines in the season 5 flash forward, it can be seen as just the fanboy. But because of how Don Harvey acts it, it's so much more nuanced than that. And because the new actor sort of delivers probably what they were expecting without all of that nuance, then you can just accept it as a new thing. And
I don't say as they weren't expecting nuance. I just think a part of me is my suspicion is that when they filmed that season 5 opening, they weren't completely sure on where they wanted the Jeff storyline to go. So they purposely wrote him and casted someone who could play it so ambiguously. You don't know whether he's innocent or the most creepy, intimidating person who's ever walked the earth. And that's why I enjoyed that scene so much. It was so tense, and that's how everyone felt watching it. It was so tense because you don't know what's going to happen.
But then I wonder if they didn't have a plan, though. Because if they did have a plan, then it's contradictory. But if they didn't have a plan, it's still, in a sense, a little bit contradictory because of how different they act. But then it gives some leeway to the writers. So, like, they didn't know where they were going, now they know. And I'm pretty content with the new Jeff and everything, especially his stuff in the new episode.
Oh, yeah.
He's not very involved. He's just sitting there, regretfully, it seems. But
they found his strong suit and
Yeah.
how he portrays the character.
sad.
So
He just looks
both
sad.
are good in very different ways.
Yeah.
But I guess I should just say when we watched the episode, initial reaction was I'm a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, I agree.
Should we get into the things we did like first?
Yes. Oh, unless we want to talk about the negatives first, and then we can end on a positive note,
Okay, yeah, okay.
and then that can lead into speculation.
Sure.
Do you want to start off the negatives?
It's not... Okay. Pretty much for things I didn't like, the first thing I wrote down was everything with Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Hot take. Yeah.
And oh man, okay. Let me just read what I wrote. It's probably a little basic. I might need to elaborate, but here's the point. I understand the parallel it's supposed to convey with Saul Goodman going to Walter White. That seals his fate of just the destruction that occurs from that choice. And then we see Gene break into this man's house and because of that, we can surmise that a similar level of this destruction will occur probably in the next episode. Mm-hmm. So I understood what it's supposed to mean, but it kind of undermined. But for me, it undermined the feeling of that like we're done with the Saul Goodman, Jimmy McGill story, and now we're fully here. Because I felt like it delegitimized the ending of episode 9, which is like that's it. It ends with that. But now, just by going back a bit, it feels like it feels kind of like a needless add-on. Personally, I guess.
See, I pretty much wrote down the same thing. One thing that we speculated was that this was going to be a dedicated Kim episode. And I said, I think we both pretty much agreed on this, is that the only reason that they would need to bring color back is if it showed Kim's story post Better Call Saul in the Breaking Bad timeline. Mm-hmm. Because that would be a fitting period for there to be color. But I don't think they're going to do that anymore. I think it's only going to be her in the gray in the Gene time. And I wrote this down. I said, unless it is used to establish Kim during this period, any cutaways out of the Gene timeline feel unnecessary and used for filler. And that leads me into this, to me, feels like a filler episode. Because Thomas Schnauz, I think that's how you say his last name, he tweeted saying, oh, this is my last episode, I hope you all like it. He wrote and directed this. But I can't help but feel like he was told, you are forced to include Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul, you have to cut away to those things, and then you also aren't allowed to have the payoff of Gene breaking into the guy's house. So he had to do the rest as filler. And there were some good sequences, but it felt like it was just more build-up when the previous episode could have been enough build-up to that, or at least they could have found some other clever rewrite. And then I have my specific notes on the RV scene, but I can basically sum it down to these don't add anything to the Breaking Bad characters or really to Saul other than we know he can't mess up on an opportunity. You can see that in Breaking Bad. That's why he goes to the school in the first place. You don't need to see him going to the school because you already see the aftermath. This doesn't provide anything new on any of the characters, so what's the point? Except for reference to Lalo, and here's Mike again, because everyone loves Mike.
It gave me this, I wrote, it's pretty much what you said, it's a little paragraph I wrote. Flashbacks also gave me the same feeling that the Hank and Gomez cameos gave, which was that just look Breaking Bad, and then how I felt like the episode could have stood on its own feet, and without the flashbacks, I think, and it just yeah.
That actually, I went through the runtime of the episode and the specific plot points. The entire episode is 56 minutes long, and then an extra minute for like credits. And usual episodes of Better Call Saul are the 46 to 50 minute range. And this episode, without the Breaking Bad stuff, is 46 minutes and 10 minutes Breaking Bad. And all that 10 minutes of Breaking Bad does, unless it's all one big section and then Better Call Saul, all it does is take us away from the main tension of the story. Because it's like, oh, remember this. And Jesse and Walt are just the shells, the superficial versions of themselves, because it's not their show. Just like Hank and Gomez. They are witty. Jesse has
caricatures almost.
Yes. Jesse has his witty comment of his witty comments. He says it's a round bottom flask, which he already did in Breaking Bad, so we don't need to see it again.
It's a reference, Eli. It's a reference.
We don't need it.
It's all about the references.
It's all a reference, and it's a waste.
And then I wrote my last point for dislikes, I guess, is I wrote it's less of a complaint. It's not really a complaint because the show isn't over, but I wrote we only have 2 episodes left, and we are still in a setup phase. And I liked episode 10 because it felt like that was its own setup for the climactic finale to return in the last 3 episodes. But then this episode just kind of did the same thing of we're still setting something up. And the complete opposite of how Breaking Bad ended. The last 3 episodes of Breaking Bad were just back-to-back things going down. But then, yeah, it just feels like we're still setting something up. We're not exactly paying anything off yet. And then, so the show isn't over yet, so I can't completely comment my opinion on it once it's over, but it's just, it's a little bit worrying, but, we'll just have to see what happens.
I think it's important that we mention that I've been rewatching, I think I mentioned this before in the videos, but I've been rewatching Breaking Bad at the same time of watching Better Call Saul because during that 6 or 7 week break for the second half of the season to return, I was like, I'll just watch some of Breaking Bad, but that turned into me watching the whole thing. I just finished season 4. I don't think I'm going to watch season 5 until the end of this show, but seeing Breaking Bad and knowing what's going to happen, I watched that and don't have many issues with it. And so when I was watching season 6 of Better Call Saul and having some major criticisms of it towards the end of the show, right at the end of the show, it got me really worried, and it put me into this speculative mode of what if they're not going to have the right amount of payoff? What if they're not going to have the things that are necessary for this show to end with? And the thing that set that off was Lalo's end, and even you were pretty disappointed with that. And now it makes me scared that the other characters aren't going to have sufficient ends.
We will see.
I guess we will see.
I hope Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan are here for these last 2. I hope it's them. I really want it to be them.
I think Vince Gilligan's going to do the next episode, and I think Peter Gould's going to do the last one. Because it's going to be... this is Peter Gould's show.
Well...
Yes. Vince Gilligan's directed like 6 episodes.
No, but he's there. He's in the writing. He's in the writer's room.
He was busy working on El Camino.
Well,
he's probably working on a Go for Joe type thing now.
Okay, no.
We'll see. Vince Gilligan, whenever he's involved in the show, it's the best episodes, visually speaking, at the least. He just has that eye that I kind of wish the show had more of, because he brought back the wide angles, because season 4 had none of it. Season 5 had some of it. And when he's involved, it's great.
It's welcoming.
Yes.
It's what's the word? It just makes you feel cozy. Like, okay, we're in safe hands.
There's some comfort. He did
it's comforting.
He did Bagman, which was in season 5. He did a few episodes, but I can't even tell you which episodes he's done post that. He did Point and Shoot, which had one of the worst character endings, but it also had... That's Lalo's death. But then it also has one of the most disgusting character endings with Howard. Because I don't consider the previous episode Howard's end. His end is finalized when he's buried with Lalo. We're not even talking about the new...
No.
I think it's
all connected.
The reason why we're not really talking about the newest episode that much, I found myself not even thinking about it that much. I was kind of dreading rewatching the episode because I just had this feeling of I don't have that much to say about it, so it's not going to make for that interesting of a discussion.
There are things they do like about it, though.
Yeah.
A lot. Should we start getting into that, maybe?
Sure.
The opening with Francesca. I love the fact that it was the last character I was expecting it to open with.
Yeah.
So just to see a little follow-up on her where she's just a purely cynical human being now. It's, I don't know. It was just a nice opening. And then I guess it just allowed them to give more exposition off of where things are after Breaking Bad. And just a little side tangent, I'm a little bit disappointed that the show doesn't take place the whole time I watched the show, I was under the impression that the Gene stuff took place at least 2 years after Breaking Bad. And that made episode 10 feel so special because I was like, oh my gosh,
he's back.
It's 2 years later and he's falling back into it. He's becoming Slip and Jimmy again. This is exciting to see. But then the fact that it's been less than a year, it just kind of deflates some of that excitement. But that's a whole other thing. The Kim phone call, it followed the series tradition of hiding information from you.
Yes.
So we'll see what that leads into. And then next point, Gene Takovic turning back into Saul Goodman. I noticed in this episode, I'm sure you did too, he's a lot more lively.
Yeah.
And not so depressed and paranoid all the time.
Yeah. It
made me rethink the ending of episode 10, where by him putting down the suit and tie, watching episode 10, I thought it was a symbolic of never again, I won't do it again. But then watching this episode, it made me think it wasn't that where he was swearing it off. It was oh, I don't need a suit anymore. I can just wear what I'm wearing now. And it's just a little grosser, I guess. I don't know.
But then it also, I completely understand that perspective, because if you look at it that way, you can just say that's what it is. If they said that's what it means, then I would be that's fine. That makes complete sense. But then I sort of saw it as he is giving it up. He's telling himself, he's telling the audience, I'm done with this again. And when he's at work, he looks all lively. He's giving extra milk smoothie or milkshake or whatever that is to the other customer.
That's great.
His work for him is fun. But then there's that shot in this episode where it's the mixer, and it just looks he's just standing still waiting for it to finish mixing, and it's a long take, and it's just so boring looking. I'm assuming that means that it doesn't have that thrill anymore, and then he has the conversation with Kim, which totally puts him back into it.
Oh yeah.
So I sort of thought it as the fun's gone now.
And it's he can only find his liveliness through the crime and everything.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that shot. That shot stood out to me when it's the mixer. You just see his neck up.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what that means. He's
I have no idea.
Trapped or something. I don't know. Because you only see his neck, and it's he's just he's in there. He's in the bowl almost, being stirred around.
And then there's also that shot towards the end of the episode where he turns off the machine. Does that mean he's breaking out of it? He's out?
He's Breaking Bad.
He's Breaking Bad.
Yep.
I don't like that title. I don't like that title. I don't like the Breaking Bad stuff in this, because it feels like they're depending on prior properties in order to make this one feel fulfilling. It's like a lack of confidence in what you have, when in reality, the Gene stuff with the scams and the guy with cancer was the most interesting part of this episode. And that's why they're using it to build up to whatever happens in these next two. And it's that sort of finalized for me this foreshadowing this episode has. Because I noticed that this episode has, I wrote down foreshadowing a downfall. And then I just have all these bullet points. So they point out in the beginning of the episode that the DEA is still after him because Jesse's car was found at the border, even though we know he's in Alaska. It talks about all these people that have been taken down. All of Saul's laundering businesses are gone, meaning everything he thought was secure and safe has been found out. Sort of saying like, oh, he thinks he's secure and safe. He might be found out later too. His emotions lead to destruction, just like how with the payphone glass and then the glass at the end, and then all the people in Breaking Bad. Let's see.
The laser tag company. You're so disappointed when that thing was shut down.
And then the cancer guy also has those lines of, I gotta believe there's a special place in hell for those people. And those people are him and all these other shady people that are behind the scenes. And it cuts to a shot of him reacting to that. And then there's the shot of him in the grave. So it's clearly foreshadowing something. And now we know the title of the final episode. But I don't really want to say it for what if people in here don't want to know.
We don't need to do
the title of the next episode's fine. Waterworks, which implies tears.
Possibly. Hopefully it's the one where things start to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess things start happening with the last shot of this episode.
I guess. Yeah.
I felt... Do we want to talk about that whole ending scene and how... Oh, quick thing. His name's Buddy, the friend.
Is that his name?
I turn on subtitles on the second time I watch the episode so I can catch things I might have missed. And it says, Buddy's on his way. And it's capital B. So I was like, okay.
Okay.
His name's he's the Buddy, and his name's Buddy.
So just say,
wait. I didn't get to finish.
Oh my gosh.
He's good in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. He's really good in this episode, man.
Sorry, man.
I can't do that, man.
I will say, the Jeff and Buddy stuff are my favorite parts of the whole episode. I like the Buddy break-in scene. I did feel like it was a little bit overstaying its welcome, but I like how they made the kind of silly Gene music sound kind of cool with a beat. I like it. Jeff was probably my favorite aspect of the whole episode, showing some humanity.
Do you mean Jeff or Buddy?
Jeff.
Okay.
Well, and Buddy. That was also good.
Did I say Jeff? I meant Buddy was good in this episode because they added a little bit to him.
Yeah, they're both good. Buddy showing humanity, and Jeff.
Yeah.
I like it. It makes you rethink what Jeff's thought process was, because he wanted to be in the game, and this episode just cemented that his idea of the game was much more simple than what it actually is. It was a lot more just kind of fun and just fun.
Who's calling? It's Mama.
Sweet. Okay, the Jeff.
We are back.
Yes.
Okay.
Talking about Jeff and Buddy. I like Buddy. He has morals, which Gina's like, you get over it.
Yeah.
Pretty much showing I do not have morals. And then Jeff. It was the callback to the season 4 cab ride.
Try to keep facing this way towards the microphone.
The callback to the season 4 cab ride, the best moment in the whole episode. Jeff's eyes completely different than they were before. Now he looks all like scared and like emotional. Meanwhile, Gene's just sitting there confidently looking out the window like he's his valet driver. Not valet driver. What's the word? His just driver.
Chauffeur.
Yeah. And yeah. And then Gene breaking in at the end, I guess, is what we talked about with he's never done a crime. He's never committed a crime so bluntly like this before.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are just kind of...
He's pushed over the edge.
Yeah.
I get what they were going for. There's all the visual parallels. Gene can't give up an opportunity for whatever. But this time it seems like he's doing this he's angry. He's doing this out of anger because whatever conversation he had with Kim, it went poorly. I keep getting things like, oh, you should watch the isolated audio of his conversation in the phone booth, and I'm like, no,
we weren't supposed to.
Why
hear
would
it.
you do that? That reviewer also spoiled a long time. I'm talking about Courtney's reviews. I still love her channel. I still watch her reviews, but she also said like, oh, Carol Burnett's been casted for the show. And I'm like, why would you say that? Don't share that. Leave that stuff as a surprise.
Is this the person who got invited to the carpet or something?
Oh, it turns out that was like that was a what's the phrase? First come, first serve. She just happened to be in that area, but it's still cool to go because all the people were there. Yeah. But
okay,
she spoiled that, and turns out Carol Burnett's character. Oh, I should say that because I'm going a bit on a tangent. I don't like. This is a stupid thing. This is stupid, but also not really. It's not really a nitpick, but it kind of is. Why are they meeting in Jeff's garage? This feels like an easy way for it to explain whatever. Because obviously Carol Burnett's character is going to be involved in some sort of way with the next episode or the final episode.
Yes.
She's probably going to be responsible for whatever downfall occurs in terms of the police getting involved and all that stuff. She's sort of that moral high ground, protective mother, not wanting her son to be involved in the crime.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a more clever way to explain that other than Jean meets at in her backyard where she can clearly hear him or see them yelling and all that.
Yes.
It feels like a easy way out versus something clever. Her just having that intuition, because we've seen characters have intuition and be able to figure things out themselves. And so for her to just have it be such an obvious thing versus her just being like, I think my son's involved in some shady stuff. I don't know.
It's also, admittedly for me, just a little bit less interesting that a lot of just the stakes of the show hinges on some guy's mom. I don't know, like...
Yeah.
I like the idea that this Jean stuff is so different compared to the rest of the show, but it just feels a little... I don't want to say anticlimactic because it isn't over and we don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen. But it's just not the most exciting of a setup. I'll just say that, I guess. I don't know.
It feels like the main conversation is like they're building up to something big, but it feels like the build-up process isn't that interesting.
It's like, how big can it really get, though?
How big can it get?
But then they could do anything. Literally anything. No one expected Howard to just get shot, I'm assuming. No one expected that.
I expected him to die.
Oh.
Because I saw it as he's the good guy here. He's just trying his best. And I figured he was going to die because he's not mentioned in Breaking Bad. I didn't think he was going to go through the disappearer. I didn't think he was going to go through that. I figured he's going to die. Like,
Probably.
It makes sense for him to die. And then he did in the most depressing fashion.
The death wasn't depressing.
Well, the process afterwards.
The send-off.
His ending was one of the most depressing.
Horrible.
Yeah. 2 suicides and a staged suicide.
Oh, frick. Brutal. Yeah, Chuck. I guess I could get into it here a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck is like the best part of the show. Was the best part of the show, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, those are kind of my thoughts on the episode. What I liked, disliked, and it's just it doesn't feel like there's a lot to say because not a lot happened.
Yeah,
we're still just like setting up. There was another montage of card scamming.
I feel like one thing I said before is that I think we could have cut just straight to the card montage and let the audience figure out what they're planning, as opposed to having, let's see, the scam with the first victim, the big guy. That starts at the 18 minutes and 46 second mark and ends at 31 minutes and 45 seconds. Mm-hmm. That's nearly 13 minutes.
Yeah.
That was put towards a character that we do not care about. He just seems like a piece of crap.
I'm assuming he was supposed to look like Victor.
Victor? No, Marco.
Marco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it felt like I don't want to be shown characters that we don't care about this late into the show. And so for it to be 13 minutes of that guy, including a long sequence with Buddy, and then what else? I don't care about Carol Burnett's character. They probably cast her for a reason, but I still don't care about her character. I'm assuming it's supposed to be this cute little thing of, oh, she likes cat videos. I think she's hungry. Okay, cut again. We have to feed the dog.
Can you feed her?
No.
Please?
No.
I want to see her not bark.
Okay, we are recording again.
Oh gosh.
Okay, we were talking about Carol Burnett. Basically, she's going to play a bigger role. I'm just not interested in whatever role that she plays thus far. Because the build-up hasn't been that interesting. Yeah. But I'm trying to keep it in a positive light because I am excited for whatever ending the show has. We already have some speculation. We already have some speculations for these final episodes, specifically the last one.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to be more so disturbing than satisfactory.
Or sad.
I don't think it's going to be sad. It'll be sad for Kim, I think, but I think it'll be disturbing for Jimmy because, well, it sort of ties into that teaser of the coats of the suits hanging,
playing right there.
Yeah, it'll be playing right here with the creepy circus music, the Magic Man.
Yeah, it was great.
Do you want to talk about speculations?
Oh, I don't. Well, it's all kind of your speculation with jail.
I don't think it's going to end with him in jail.
I don't know. But essentially, we've kind of come to the idea that in the entire show, if you know one thing about Jimmy McGill, it's that he screws up and he tries to fix it, and he says it'll never happen again. But inevitably, something pulls him back, and it happens again. And eventually. Or it was always Slippin' Jimmy / Saul Goodman is the one making the mistake, and then Jimmy McGill is then we always saw that as Jimmy McGill is the one that is like, I'm sorry, I'll try to be better. And then by the time Breaking Bad occurs, Jimmy McGill is gone. It's just Saul Goodman, and that's why in Breaking Bad he's just a horrible human being. And then when Gene Takovic here, I mean, it seems like he's like back to being Saul Goodman again, but I mean, who knows what'll happen. But it was always just a constant cycle. And so then the kind of disturbing ending that we thought of, mainly you, was that it was...
Should I say it then?
Yeah.
Well, one thing I immediately thought of when I thought of the conclusions for different characters, what do they deserve? Breaking Bad gives the characters what they deserve, except for Hank. It seems like the only people who don't get what they deserve are the very good people. The people who are just trying their best. Because let's see. There's Walt. He deserves death. He dies. Skylar, she ends up getting involved and she's going to end up having a miserable life. Hank's shot and just killed off because he's a good person. Gus, he's bent on revenge. He dies. The revenge kills him. And then the good person, which is Howard, he ends up getting one of the worst endings. Chuck, he has some moral implications in terms of what is right, what is wrong. Because what is right based on what he's doing, because some of it's very understandable. Others, you're like, why would you say that? Why would you do that? He ends up just getting a sad ending. And Nacho and Jesse both get pretty similar endings to me. They're basically the same characters, but with different outcomes. Because I would say Nacho's more in it than Jesse ever was, because Nacho was part of the cartel. He was hurting people. It ends with his death. At least his father's free. Whereas Jesse, he goes through slavery and is end up set free. What does Jimmy deserve? For me, he deserves eternal torture.
Oh, gosh.
Eternal internal torture. That being, he will constantly be stuck in the cycle of thinking he can get better, but proving to the audience that he just can't. He can't. He will forever do something, regret it, try to change, and do it again. And that will eventually lead to just misery in his life. Constant seeking of the thrill, and then misery for other people. And I think it's going to end with Kim just being sad for herself, that she feels responsible for this, because she's like, I left him and now he's stuck in this state forever.
Kim is a whole different story.
I don't really know how she's gonna end.
From the beginning of the show, I kept saying to Eli, I kept telling him, I'm really interested in this Kim character and where she's gonna go. Like, there's so many implications with the way she spoke. It reminded me of Walter White. And every time I'd mention something, Eli would just be like,
I had to look away because I couldn't hide my reaction.
And it would make me so annoyed, but one of my favorite scenes with her, is when she's being interviewed for Schweikart. Also, Schweikart is a really cool guy.
Yeah. He's just cool.
Kim is being interviewed, and he's like, "Why did you leave? Like, what did you want out of moving out of there?" And she just says, "More," which that's kind of the way she said it. That's something a villain says, and then there's a direct callback to Walter White's line when she's like, when she's talking to Jimmy, and he's like, it's like, why are you like asking her about her job, and pretty much. And she's like, pro bono work. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I like it. I'm good at it. Which is exactly what Walter White says in his final episode. So
she also has this really strong sense of pride.
She was just this character who, she wants more. And her backstory was she was never given much. She was always on the run with her mom, pretty much. So that trained her to never be satisfied with what she has, because there's probably something I don't have that I need to try to obtain. Which is the recipe for a villain, and that's what she turns into for pretty much season 6. Mm-hmm. Is she's a villain, and mm-hmm. she's a horrible. I did not like watching her scenes because of how just like, so she's just going to be horrible again.
But the interesting part is, one thing that he mentioned a lot is he knows that this is you pretty much knew that this was gonna break eventually, because whenever something of challenge came up, you can tell she was visibly uncomfortable whenever there was some sort of challenge or something that would make her have to question her moral standing right now. Because Viola says to her, like, "Oh, you make me feel good about the law," and she can't even look at Viola in that moment. She has to look away.
That's great.
Whenever there's a challenge, you can tell that she still has that sense of conviction, mm-hmm. and that ultimately comes into play with her leaving, which that shows that she's willing to give up that more, mm-hmm. all of that stuff, if it means a better standing for the people around her, because she feels responsible for Howard's death. But what has she been doing this entire time? Seeing
Saul Goodman like outed as this giant criminal involved with the biggest drug lord in New Mexico. It's like, what, and she's in Florida. What has she been doing for
making some noise.
Yeah.
Right.
What has she been doing for, like 10 years? Essentially?
2004, 2005, 2004.
Well, 2004 to 2008. That's
4 years.
And then Breaking Bad, which is like, how long is
5
that?
years.
5 years about?
Because
Mocha. Isn't he still
Mocha.
Isn't he still like a high schooler? Isn't Flynn still a high schooler by the end? So it could only be like, let me look it up.
I don't know.
How did I phrase that?
When does El Camino take place? Because
it starts in 2008.
Oh, it takes place in 2010?
So 4, 6...
8 years. No. 6 years.
6 years. So 6 years.
What has she been doing for 6 years in Florida?
Yeah. I don't know.
What is she doing? Why Florida? So I guess we'll find out.
I thought she was going to be in Nebraska.
I thought yeah.
And that's why Jimmy picked that place, so he could just be around her.
Within proximity.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's such a mystery what's going to happen with Kim. I have no idea what could happen.
Is she just going to be sad? Is she going to be all cynical now? Is she still going to be doing some sort of charity work, or is she just going to be completely trying to separate herself from all things that?
Because
what if she was married and had kids and she was just a housewife now?
When I was watching Nippy, I was like, I wonder if Kim's gonna show up, and it was this last episode. I was like, and when he's gonna go to the cancer patient, and part of me was like, I knew it wouldn't be true, but I was like, what if she was like married to him, and she was like just a wife of somebody? I don't know. Anything could happen. So that was her key thing, was she was just always conflicted about what do I want, and she never liked people challenging her for that, because she was like, no, I want to make my own choices. I want to know that what I'm doing is my choice and not someone else's. And that's why she goes on her whole Giselle Sinclair phase in season 6, is because she wants to prove to Howard that I'm the one controlling my life. And to do that, she just does all this horribleness out of spite. But then, and then after Howard dies, and she goes through all that, she she recontextualizes, okay, I can't do this anymore. So I don't know.
Why would she get involved in the last episodes? I think the only thing that would get her involved is what if something terrible, something unforgivable happens that Gene does? What if he ends up killing Jeff or the cancer guy in self-defense because he's breaking into the guy's house and the guy tries to defend himself and Gene accidentally kills him? Or what if Jeff's gonna talk because he's scared? I think Jeff's gonna end up driving away. After the end of this episode, Jeff looks so uncomfortable and sad. Like he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be driving Gene. So it makes me think that he's finally going to make a decision for himself and he's going to leave, and it's going to put Gene in a bad position. I think I feel like the show's going to go the route that makes the most sense, that being Gene's going to end up in prison. I don't want him to be in prison, but I think he's going to end up in prison. And if Kim's going to get involved in the show, I bet it's not even going to be that big. She's probably going to visit him in prison. She's probably going to show up and just try to talk to him, but realize Jimmy's gone.
But then again, she could be like the main character in his last.
She could.
One thing I really just want to see just one more time before the show ends, I really want them to do it, is the Gene or Jimmy Kim side by side intro or cold open. I need that just one more time in the show, because when it played the first time I was like, yes, this is good stuff.
What if it ended with that?
I don't know. And then the second time I was like, okay, they just legitimized it. It is a thing now. Like, it is a part of their relationship. Like,
it's their theme song.
It's like their motif pretty much is that song. So yeah, I really want to see it return just one more time in black and white, and just seeing Kim, like, what her daily life looks like. I need it. I need it. It's their theme song.
I feel like they
one more time.
I would really like them to, but I just have this feeling that that's something that they're not even considering.
It's not going to happen. But if it did, that I would be content.
But they are willing to do split screen stuff in the Gene timeline, because in the Cinnabon montage.
Well, it's a montage.
Yeah. But so is that.
Yeah.
Technically, so they're willing to do that. I'm sure it went through one of their heads. Like, should we put this back? We have this in season 4, season 5, and now the last one, season 6. That would make sense. But the first one was about their work dividing them. The next one's about them coming together. The last one, I assume, would be about dividing them again.
Or being together?
Being together?
I don't know.
Then again, they have been divided now. So it's like, would it be about them coming together? I don't know. I don't want them to be together. I said this before, because he asked me, like, do you think that it should end with them being together again? And I said no, because when I finished season 5 for the first time, all I thought was, you two are terrible together and you're going to ruin the world. and that's pretty much what happened with Howard. And I don't want them to end up together, because they don't deserve that satisfaction. They both deserve suffering in one way or another. Kim deserves to suffer out of guilt for ruining Jimmy's life in a way, because she left him. She's going to feel like she turned him into who he is, and he's going to end in that eternal cycle.
I don't know.
I think that's going to be the ending. I'm calling it now, and then I'm going to have to address it 2 weeks from now and say how wrong I was.
It's just going to be like the end of Chuck, except for Jimmy now.
Yeah.
He's just going to leave you be like, oh.
He's going to give into it, just like how Chuck did. That parallel between brothers.
I don't know. I literally cannot think of a single possibility of just actions to happen. It's so unpredictable. And it's cool. It's cool for me because I had it spoiled that Lalo and Howard died and were buried together. It did not ruin my reaction to seeing that, because I still had a reaction to seeing it.
He cried.
He
cried.
Okay,
he was on the brink of tears from Nacho. He cried from Howard's death and burial.
Because it's not even like sad. It's just it leaves you feeling,
it's icky,
horrible. It's like the most despicable way to end a character, and it's horrible. It just doesn't make you feel good. It makes you feel bad. And yeah, so like after that point, I was like, okay, I have no idea what's gonna happen now. Everything is new. So I was just, I don't know. I have no idea what could happen. It's a nice feeling though to not know.
Yeah.
But it's also a little nerve-wracking at the same time, because is it going to be satisfying considering we have some complaints?
The thing is that I know you don't mean it in that sense, satisfying, like as in it's like everything's going to be wrapped up in it's like it's all perfect. I mean it in this, when I say I hope it's satisfying, I mean it is in this, like, it doesn't need to be like, oh, everyone gets the good ending.
Yeah.
I want to feel disgusted by this final episode, because I think the Saul Goodman, Jimmy McGill persona, I think that that eternal battle is a gross one to think about. Because we've talked many times about Saul Goodman as sort of an entity. And that's sort of a common theme whenever there's someone evil or who does evil things in literature. It used to be pointed out as that character is just representative of the devil. It's very easy to say stuff like that. But Saul Goodman speaks when he's screaming at Howard in that great shot. He tells him, I am a god in human clothing. I shoot lightning from my fingertips. And then we see in the season 6 opening, in the opening Breaking Bad flash forward, that he lived in a palace, basically.
That was great.
It was a mansion with golden columns and Greek art and architecture and statues. It's a palace for a god. And that's what Saul Goodman believes he deserves.
It's gross.
And it's gross. And I feel like that eternal battle is the key here for this final episode. We've also talked about Chuck and how is there going to be any payoff there.
That's the thing.
I hope Chuck's involved in some way.
As the show kept going on after Chuck's death, I was like, Jimmy needs to know that what he said wasn't true. And because he said that to him, he's going to take anything he hears after that point as, well, it's not true because he doesn't care about me. So it's just like, I don't think it's too late for him, I feel like, to actually have any catharsis with that.
Even now, he mentions Chuck and Nippy, and he uses it as a way to manipulate Jerry.
It's very brutal.
Frank.
Jerry Gergich.
Yeah.
It was probably the best casting choice for
Don't
that
worry
security
about
guard. He was just Jerry Gergich from Parks and Rec. It was so funny. And that
was a really good episode.
Nippy was my favorite because it did everything it needed to do. It was like, all right, we're here now with Gene Takovic, and now we're going to set up his story. And it did it perfectly. The mall heist was perfect. It was great.
What these final episodes need are
agency.
I kind of want them to get rid of the whole Jeff and Carol Burnett storyline. Just get rid of it in the quickest way possible so that we can focus on the core of the story.
Just have it be like, oh, they fled.
They left. Carol Burnett snitched and now Jimmy has to get away. I don't know. But they haven't been too exciting for me. I like the Jeff stuff. I do like the Jeff stuff, but he's coupled with his mother.
It doesn't feel like he's he doesn't feel like he's the one who's gonna be there for the end.
Yeah.
It feels like they're building up for something else. Something more personal for Gene.
So Gene and Kim.
Yes.
They're building up to Gene and Kim, so I'm just waiting for them to get... I'm assuming the end of this next episode is going to be something to do with getting rid of Jeff. Because I think Jeff's going to want to talk.
Maybe.
I think Jeff's going to want to say something, and Gene's going to have to get rid of him in one way or another. And we've now seen Gene get directly involved in the crime in terms of just breaking the glass. I think the one step further from that is... Now he's going to take it into his own hands because he doesn't have Mike to kill someone. He has... Oh, yeah. Brutal. I think he's going to kill Jeff. And I think that's what the end of the next episode is going to be. And he's going to have to manipulate Carol Burnett. And she's just going to be a sad woman without her son.
Yeah, because Jeff is clearly conflicted.
Yeah.
When Buddy is giving his whole spiel of I can't do that. I can't rob a man with cancer. It's like my dad. Jeff's just sitting there. And when he's like, Jeff, what do you think? And he's just like, well, I can see both sides. He doesn't want to disappoint either one of them. So he's just in the middle of it. And but then Gene pretty much forces him to be like, yeah, come with me.
Be my driver.
And he just looks so nervous driving, and it's great. So I don't know.
What if it's not the cancer man's house? What if he brought him to a different house because he doesn't want him to hurt a guy with cancer?
Ooh, that would be...
He felt guilty, so he tricked Gene and left.
That'd be interesting.
That would be a twist opening. That would be an interesting opening. And Gene broke into some family's house.
That would be, and then that's why the cops come. It's Kim's house with her husband.
That's in Florida.
Well, maybe they lied.
No.
I don't know. But, ooh, that would be really neat. Because I don't feel like Jeff should be a major character in the final 2 episodes.
No.
It feels like he should, disappear some way. And then it's here's what it's really about. It's just something really personal. Because with, Breaking Bad, it's Nazis. the most basic form of evil.
Yeah. The foundational form of evil, a Nazi.
Yeah, and then Walter White shoots up everybody.
Yeah,
with
he kills Nazis
with an artillery machine gun in the back of his trunk. It's
slave-owning Nazis.
It's so absurd, but the episode is so good. I think the show is going to end in a much more personal and grounded way.
Yeah,
there's not going to be a shootout.
That is not to say Breaking Bad is not personal or grounded.
Yeah, it's just it's
Skylar
a different scale. Very different scale. Oh gosh, and I think the show's gonna end very small.
I think I think this next episode's gonna be about getting rid of Jeff. Either they're just gonna make it to where Jeff fled, which would kind of be a disappointment. It's he's just gone now. He was there, now he's gone.
What it is.
I hope not. Oh, he's shot in the dark.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be about them getting rid of Jeff, and it's going to be the moral implications of that. If Jeff does flee, he gets away completely, he doesn't want to be involved in this at all, it could potentially be to where his mother gets scared of what happened to my Jeffy, and then she's going to think this guy had something to do with it.
Last time I saw him, it was with Gene yelling at him.
Yeah, exactly. So
Buddy walked outside looking all angry, probably.
Or if Jeff ends up being killed.
Oh, you know what it's going to be? We're going to cut, and it's going to be from the outside of the shed with Carol Burnett. And then Buddy's going to walk out, and he's going to be, talking to her. And then we're going to set up Carol Burnett to be the main antagonist of the last two episodes.
Yeah.
She's going to pull
Just
out
kick her legs.
She's going to pull out her 6-shooter on her little cart. And she'll be like, "So, Gene?" I don't know. And then Kim's going to come out and...
with her massive arms.
Yeah.
She's probably been working out in Florida.
Probably. So,
at the beach doing sprints.
I could either expect something as absurd as, because on the face of it, it's so absurd. He put a machine gun in his trunk and put it on a spinner so it would just shoot everybody.
Walter White bombed an old people home. But that's not Gene. Crazy. I don't think Gene does that. I think the most personal thing they could do is Gene is responsible for someone's death.
I'm gonna
directly. Yeah, I think he's gonna.
Imagine if he killed Carol Burnett. Ugh.
It's like she's gonna talk too.
No, that's not gonna happen.
I don't think he would kill Carol Burnett, but I think he would kill Jeff.
That'd be brutal.
I don't know. I say this in the previous video of that would be that's the downfall to where Saul Goodman has officially become physically dangerous towards other people. He's not able to distance himself. It's Jimmy McGill has officially murdered a man.
Do you imagine if Jeff just killed him and then they just move on?
Drowns him in a puddle.
And it's
Jeff's gonna drown Gene in a puddle.
And now we're actually picture that. What if he just kills Gene unceremoniously and then we just follow Jeff? I don't know.
And then we can get a Jeff spin-off show.
Oh boy.
Called Jeff the Cab Driver.
And they're gonna recast it as Don Harvey again.
Yeah,
so it's
recast
completely
again.
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be the worst thing ever.
I've really come to like this new Jeff.
Yeah.
Because Eli can attest to the fact that I was very disappointed when I was like, I felt, it's the only word I could think of, I felt livid for a day just thinking about the fact that I'm not going to see, because I was watching it and we were getting close to episode 10 and it was just there's a piece of information I wish I would have known if I were to start it. And then before I even started the show, Eli was I remember there's going to be a recast for the season. It's a little disappointing, but it'll be fine. And then I forgot about it, but it was still an ever-present, just lingering thought of someone is recasted. And when I saw Don Harvey in season 5, it never occurred to me that it could be him. So when Eli was being so vague and be I wish I just knew this information, I was please don't tell me he's talking about the recast. And I brought it up, and then, yeah.
He saw my thumbnail for the previous video.
Oh, yeah.
He thought that was Lalo in the thumbnail.
I saw it so quickly, I was I'm not going to look at it.
But then No,
Because
it
my
was
face
a
went straight to
recast.
Don Harvey because he's so distinct looking.
When I told him it was like, I would want to know this prior to starting this episode, and I just told him because he was just going from crying about Howard to anger about Jeff. He's like, why him?
I was so excited to see Don Harvey return. So when he kept talking about like, I wish I knew, I feel you should know this. I was like connecting the dots. I was like, okay, what about that thumbnail makes me think? And I thought they're both black and white people. I remember the recast, and I connected the dots, and I was so disappointed. And watching episode 10, for a lot of it, I was just like, I don't like this Jeff. I want Don Harvey back.
Now it's his favorite episode of the season.
Yeah, but then once I accepted the fact that this is just not the same person, like just from a writing level, it's not the same person. I came to appreciate what this one actually is, and yeah, this new actor's strength is definitely just acting a little wimpy and scared, and it seems like they're playing into that. So
I'm assuming we're gonna get payoff of Saul's, of Gene's and Kim's conversation in the final episode. I don't think we're gonna be getting that in the next episode.
It'll be like the end of the next episode.
I think the next episode is gonna be relatively short. I bet it would be in the 40-something minute range, and I bet it's just gonna focus on the aftermath of what's built up in this next from the episode Breaking Bad, and then the last episode is gonna be the aftermath. So this is the rising tension, this is the climax, and then the last episode is going to be the aftermath, and that's where we're going to see the consequences, the true emotional consequences of whatever actions have occurred. And that means probably Jeff's going to die in the climax, and in the last episode it's going to be about Kim and Gene and what goes on from there.
I'm thinking about Granite State from Breaking Bad. I'm trying to think about how that one ended. Jesse is a slave. Walter's in Alaska. Is it Alaska? And then he sees on the TV that his old buddy is what are they gonna do? Like pay for, or like give money to the white family or something?
I don't remember,
but something that angered him.
And I don't exactly remember.
I'm trying to think about the perspective of that episode ending, and what did people think when that ended? Like, did they expect for him to visit Jack with a machine gun? And because in the final episode, he's like in the desert, like building the machine gun.
Well,
rig.
He didn't know about. He wasn't gonna go after Jack and all of them until he finds out from Skinny Pete and Badger that they had Jesse.
Oh yeah,
because they're like, you're still cooking, right? And he's like, what?
So it feels like the final episode had a lot of setup and payoff in the same sort. So I do have my brain is telling me though. I feel like I have an instinct that this next episode will be the one where things happen.
Yeah.
And
Waterworks.
And I feel like they will happen quickly. Like this episode's going to start up with a cold open that hints at the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
And then right after that cold open, things are going to happen quick. And the audience is just going to be like, whoa, like, okay, like we're doing this now.
Or
that's
they're
my
going
guess.
to do their whole thing of you're expecting it to be this, but then they're actually going to cut to something completely different, and then it's in the last 15 minutes it's going to be what we expect.
I thought the opening credit sequence or the intro song, we thought it was going to rewind because it's the end of the tape, so I thought it was going to rewind and it was going to show Kim.
Yeah.
But this new one shows it's recording over it.
Yeah.
It's the new, so I don't know. It's so unpredictable. There's nothing you can say for sure.
For what we got from Nippy, I would probably give it a 9 out of 10. Not an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10. The Breaking Bad episode, I would have to give probably like a 6 because I feel like they had a lack of confidence in what they were building up, so they had to reference something else.
And I don't really see it as a lack of confidence. It just feels like. It just kind of feels like they don't want it. It's almost like they don't want the audience to like. It's just like filler. We're biding our time until
it's an expensive biding of time
until things really start happening in the next episode. It just feels like
filler.
It feels like they just wanted to set up this situation of him breaking into this house and have it parallel the downfall of Saul Goodman. It feels like they just wanted a parallel for that and a setup, but that's only like. That's not an episode, so they have to just fill it up with montages and Bryan Cranston. I love Bryan Cranston, right?
I feel like this entire episode could have been cut out, and it could have just been the Cancer Man scam, and then have it be this episode be the consequence. Oh, your light is turned off.
My light died.
That's okay. It's fine. The episode's about to be over, I think, this video. I think that this episode, Breaking Bad, could have just been... I think this episode could have been that setup and payoff, and then the aftermath or whatever happens next be the next 2 episodes, but that's just me. We haven't even finished the show yet, so we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Ultimately, this is all speculation towards the end of this video, but overall, regarding this episode alone, the episode Breaking Bad leaves much to be desired.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode. For those of you who have made it all the way this far, I'm pretty sure we've been talking for over an hour.
Probably.
Yeah. For those of you who have made it this far, thank you for your patience and for all of our ramblings on the different topics, including outside episodes. But if you agree with our thoughts, let us know. And if you disagree with our thoughts, let us know, because we love to read those discussions. Finally, you can potentially be involved with those things.
We'll see.
You can comment he can comment from his channel, and maybe you can check out some of his videos.
Oh no.
All right, well, this has been 40 Minutes Till Failure, an extended edition in our review of the episode Breaking Bad. Thank you for watching.